So what are the biggest takeaways on the good side that you guys saw today? Gerald, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think the interior defensive line really is starting to come together. I was a big fan of what they did, and we talked about it last week. But that was a big difference for Texas against Ohio State. Their ability to shut down the run and keep Ohio State from going. But like when your interior defensive lineman leads the team in sacks, Murad Watson had a good day on that. They were just disruptive in the backfield, and the defense was disruptive overall. Anthony Hill with a couple of forced fumbles. We saw the big kind of emblematic play of their ability to be disruptive is Leon Leifau batting down a ball at the line, can't get to the quarterback, so you get your hands up, right? And that ends San Jose State's the last legitimate shot at scoring. So really just the defense's ability to be disruptive. It started, I think, on the interior with those defensive tackles, like I said, but it kind of spread around to the entire defense. Anthony Hill being disruptive. Colin Simmons, for better or for worse, was disruptive. We'll probably get to that. We talk about the bad as well, but Texas just kind of kept them from getting in rhythm. And this is an offense that really thrives on getting the ball out quickly and kind of getting into rhythm and kind of catching you on your heels. So their ability to, I think they had like 7 or 8 quarterback hurries. And this is an offense that wants to get the ball out in, a second and a half, 2 seconds. So their ability to be disruptive, and again, starting in the middle of the defense really was impressive today.
Brandon?
Very well said. The good that I would take away from this game was the ability to score in the red zone. Even though it was San Jose State, anytime you can show that you can put up points in the red zone, because we've struggled with that for so long, I think that's a good sign moving forward. I think it helps that Arch used his legs today. When we got in the red zone, he had some easy completions, but like we made the plays we were supposed to make in the red zone. So that was really encouraging, because as these games get tougher and tougher, we're going to have to convert those and always score touchdowns down there. So I was really encouraged by that. That's my biggest takeaway. I mean, Gerald hit everything else with the defense. I thought they played outstanding.
I think the linebacker play, like Ty Anthony Smith made a lot of plays today. Like you said, Anthony Hill, Leon Leifau jumped up, made the play. I didn't expect a big game from him, because this is more of an Anthony Hill, Ty Anthony Smith sideline to sideline game and running backwards type game, because guess what? Those guys are going to throw it 40 times. That's their offense. But Leon Leifau, made that really important play in the red zone when that could have been a touchdown. So really good job by him. I think, honestly, they have been the best unit so far between the two games for Texas has been the linebackers, which I've been kind of surprised with, because I thought it would be the edge group. They've actually probably been a little bit of a disappointment. Yeah. And then Parker Livingstone, coming into the season, we thought DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo. No, this guy has 3 touchdowns. Could have had a 4th later in the game, too. Almost outran the guy down the sideline, but got tackled. Like, really, really good football player. Very surprised by him. He's not sneaky athletic. I hate when people use that term. Like, he's just a really good athlete. So really impressed by him. And then CJ Baxter again, I think he's 95%. There's a couple cuts I still see that he misses just because I don't know if he can make them yet. But overall, super impressed by him. Trey Wiseman, whatever the injury is, I expect him to be back and fine. This is kind of one of those things. Oh, you're 80%. We're playing San Jose State. Sit out. We don't really need you. But really impressed by CJ Baxter. And then I think Arch's mechanics. There's definitely some plays you can talk about bad. But I thought there was only 3 to 4 throws in this game where damn, that's bad mechanics. The rest were good. He was able to, change or put his shoulders to his target this game. He didn't overstride as much in this game. There are a couple throws where the one that he overthrew Ryan Wingo was great. He actually squared his shoulders and then tried to lead him into the end zone. It was overthrown, but the process was good. So overall, I think I'm very excited that mostly got fixed again. He still has a couple he needs to get. And then his pocket presence, that's a gigantic step up from Quinn Ewers. You can tell, the little maneuver that he does when he tucks his shoulder down when someone's coming and then is able to sidestep is beautiful. That does not need to be changed. We have moved worlds from what Quinn Ewers was. They're polar opposites there. But overall, I think pretty good for March Manning mechanically in this game.
You're absolutely right. He was a lot cleaner with his feet, because that's why quarterbacks miss throws. It's their feet and their hips. Today, you saw the times he did miss, the next couple of throws after that, they were so much cleaner. And then his pocket presence, but his poise to stand in the face of pressure and speed up his mechanics while not losing the overall technique. I think that showed up a couple of times where he didn't rush anything. It was kind of just it was sped up a little bit, but you saw still smooth, clean mechanics. So to your point, that it was really impressive by him just to see that growth. Like nothing spectacular in terms of like the numbers per se, but the overall just play of his game got better today. So that's very positive moving forward.
And I think we talked about it last week. Like, if he's able to hit on some of those layups on the simple things, Texas, the offense will be fine. I think when you're talking about that, B. Ross, like the play that jumps out to me is he's got a rolling left, is able to square his feet and kind of dump it over to Jordan Washington. Washington doesn't catch it because he doesn't kind of get around quick enough. But like that's the kind of play that you want to see from a guy like Arch Manning, who can kind of reset the pocket, escape pressure, set his feet, and make an easy throw for what should have been a first down if the wide receiver can come down with it. So I think that's like I'm a pictures person. That's the picture I see when you're talking about that.
Absolutely.
No, 100%. I completely agree with that. My next question, part of the good, is Parker Livingstone wide receiver 1 at this point? Do you guys think?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's wide receiver 1, not because of of anything else more than I think he has a natural connection with Arch. Like you see, like he puts the ball in places for Parker that it just seems to always just fit. It's just always just kind of on point, where like other guys might have to work for it a little bit more. Not because like they're doing anything wrong or anything like that, but like it just seems like anytime he's targeting Parker, the ball is always on point. So I think he's wide receiver 1 from that standpoint, which to me is great because I think he has the best hands. I think he's he naturally, like, he has the best hands. Like he had a drop last week, but that was a contested drop that I think he will make moving forward. He can run the whole route tree. He's not the dynamic athlete in terms of speed as a wingo, but when you talk about just the all-around talent as a receiver, I think like and the quarterback trusts him, like because he's going to catch the ball, like he automatically moves to the number 1 spot to me.
And you mentioned the hands, and even I think you talked about Arch anticipating him. I think he also can anticipate Arch really well because on the long touchdown, it was a wheel route, and you saw him take a half stutter step, come back to the ball a little bit, catch it with his hands, and then turn on the second gear to run. So I think there's a bit of anticipation on both of them because let's be honest, like that was a little bit of an underthrown ball on that wheel route. You want to put that wheel route out in front of him. So the receiver coming back to it and his ability, it was just he slowed down for half a second, got his hands out there. It was like textbook hand motion when you go back and look at it, like textbook stuff from him on that. So yeah, I'm with you as well. I think Livingston is your wide receiver 1 for sure.
Yeah, and we talked about, the big play threat ability. I mean, 4 catches for 128 yards, so 32 yards per catch is insane. And, yeah, he's able to get open. He uses his hands very well, catches the ball, which has been an issue. Like, we'll talk about that in the bad. So I agree. I think he is number 1. Now, another question I have is, do you think he can be a number 1 on a national championship team? My answer to that would probably be no. But so we need to get Ryan Wingo and that connection going. Otherwise, I just don't see us having the ceiling that I think we all thought this offense could have coming into the year. But overall, it's really nice to have that guy step up because we were wondering who that was going to be, especially if he can end up being your wide receiver 2 at the end of the day. Because honestly, the guy, we can talk about Ryan Wingo struggling, but DeAndre Moore really hasn't done much either. And that looked really bad. Like he looked legitimately almost knocked out getting carried off the field by CJ Baxter, I think at the end of the third quarter, mid of the third quarter. So we need to get the Ryan Wingo going. So I guess my question to you guys is, do you think can Parker Livingston be number 1 on a national championship team?
I'll let you answer first, Gerald.
I'm not convinced that he can't be, but I think it would be a limiting factor to how Texas is able to win those games, right? And I think Texas is going to win the game, whatever games they win defensively anyways. So I think, not having that as dynamic of a playmaker at wide receiver, when especially you have guys like Wingo and Moore, or even we saw some of the younger players getting some run, Khalid Lockett kind of with the second unit, right? Those kind of dynamic playmakers. But again, I think Sark has won with weird talent combinations before, so I'm not sure if it's completely out of the question, but I definitely think it limits the explosiveness of this offense in some ways.
So to your point, Matthew, like we have to get Wingo going, right? But I think his game is predicated on gadget things behind the line of scrimmage and deep balls. I think we have to get a deep ball to him But I do think Parker Livingstone could be a number one receiver on a national championship team because he's so consistent. Like his ability to win at the top of routes, like we act like, those guys from Ohio State struggled covering him. When him and Arch really got going, they struggled to cover him. That's one of the better secondaries we'll see this year. So I do think he can do it. Now, I do think you would want a more dynamic playmaker, but if you're talking about a guy as we get going, if he's getting 10 targets and catching 7, 8 of them, he's averaging 90 to 120 a game because he's consistent. I think that's all the making for a really good number one receiver, and that will allow those other guys to come along. And the guy who I think is really going to open things up for Parker is Jack Andrews. Because he can occupy the middle of the field, he can run. Like he's a big target where you have to account for him. So therefore, I don't think, and this is going to sound bad when I say this, but no, they're not going to double the wide receiver. They're not. Teams aren't. So therefore, guess what? He's going to get a lot of one-on-ones. And to me, like watching him run routes, he's sharp, he's crisp, he's smooth. He's going to win a lot of them because he understands leverage and tech. Like he's a really good technician of being a route runner. So, would you want somebody more dynamic? Of course, like we all want the guy. We all want Matthew Golden every year. But sometimes, if the guy who can, occasionally get behind you, but more consistently, he's catching 12 to 15-yard gains and moving the chains. So I think he can do it. I just think it'll be different from what we're used to seeing.
I think for him to be that guy, I need Arch to throw with a little more anticipation. It still feels like he's waiting for guys to come open rather than throwing them open in some spots. I think
absolutely.
Which is going to cost Texas. We saw it against Ohio State, right? That interception he threw. So I think with a route runner like Parker Livingston, you need to be able to throw him up. You need to know, okay, here's where his step is going to be. Let me put the ball out in front of him. So I think that's the one thing that if he is going to be the guy for Arch, that I think Arch needs to get more comfortable anticipating the throws rather than waiting for guys to break open, because that's not going to happen against Georgia. It's not going to happen against Florida in a couple of weeks. So I think you really need to get to that level of confidence from Arch.
No, I completely agree with that. Let's jump over back to the good for a little bit. Is there anything else wrapping up? I do want to shout out two guys. Jack Andrews, obviously, #1 fan, been here for 4 months. Had a gigantic game today, 2 touchdowns, 52 yards, and he just does everything well. That's what I like about him. He's well-rounded. He blocks well. He's able to sit down when he needs to in zone coverage. He's able to beat man coverage. Just a really good and clean football player. And then also Nick Townsend played today. Nick Townsend, I was very impressed with. They brought him in to block on the one where that got called back for a touchdown. They put him in at fullback. So if he's already there to where they trust him on the goal line blocking and he's a freak athlete, I think there's a real chance at the end of the season it's going to be Nick Townsend and Jack Andrews. I'm going to be honest with you. Jordan Washington has kind of blown his opportunities when he's got them. He's dropped passes. He's blown blocks. And Nick Townsend is just a better, pure football player than Jordan Washington. And Spencer Shannon, I don't think he's going to be here, honestly, from what I've seen. He's played very little. He hasn't really done much. But those two guys I wanted to shout out in the tight end room.
Matthew, let's talk about Matthew Caldwell as well. I think it's garbage time play, but I think he looked solid in his reps that he got in garbage time. So I think I don't want to have to go into Georgia or Florida with him as QB1, but I think in a tight spot, I think he could probably operate the offense in a way that Texas will be able to at least continue to play well.
And the last guy I want to mention, he only had 7 carries, but Jared Gibson ran the ball hard. I thought he was hard to take down at first contact, which to me makes the start of a good running back. He didn't do anything dynamic, but you saw the talent and just the burst, you saw the physicality. I like big backs who wear and tear on people because, CJ had 13 carries a day. As he gets going and with Trey Wagner coming back and if we can add a third runner as well as Arch, and we can get this run game going, a guy like Jared Gibson would be a huge asset to have. And I thought he showed something today where I can see him contributing more than we probably expected.
No, I think that's fair. My only issue, Gerald and I were talking about this before we jumped on, like fumbling. Got to clean that up. You cannot be keep putting the ball on the ground. But I completely agree. Like prototypical build wise, I think he might be right behind CJ Baxter. Like he's a good physical specimen at running back. So that's the good. And is Parker Livingston the number 1 wide receiver on Texas? Let's jump over to the bad, because obviously there is that to discuss.